sacrificing productivity. Successful entrepreneurs know the secret: they delegate. If you're looking for an employee to handle your administrative work, there's no better employee than a virtual assistant from Virtual Synergy Inc. Virtual Synergy Inc. connects you with skilled human virtual assistants who handle your admin work, emails, and scheduling so you can focus on what truly matters: growing your business. No stress, just expert help and support on demand. Stop managing tasks, start leading your business. Andy, how are you doing today?
I'm good. I'm back. So thanks everybody for helping, and let's get to it. I'm excited to talk to Jason and hear about all the cool stuff. So I'm going to try to be quiet and just ask questions. I probably won't be quiet though. I'm just saying that.
Awesome, awesome. Jason, I see that I got you on there as co-host. You're there as excellent. Um First, and you're dropping down. I guess there's some issues. Let's see if we can get Jason back on as co-host. Annie, can you see if you can
Yep, I'll work on that.
okay, excellent. And I just wanted to let everybody know Jason is the person who has helped the AI Biz Hour create our Discord server. Jason has a background in development and dev, coding, as well as now he's working with AI, and he's got a lot to share. There's some things that I've spoken with him about that are super exciting for me, and I'm sure for everyone. He's got a lot going on. I'm not sure if he's able to get to the co-host or the mic yet, but we'll see. Also, thank you for everyone for showing up. Please follow myself, follow Jason, go to my account and sign up to my newsletter, John Allen, AI John Allen at Beehive. I actually transcribe all of these episodes, and slowly but surely through the newsletter, I am getting out all the pertinent information. So everybody who signs up to the newsletter, you will get information that goes into detail exactly what happens in the shows here, and I'm just going to make it a subscription newsletter soon, just because of the amount of work that I need to put into and all this other stuff, and the quality is really good. So Jason, Andy, is Jason there to kind of, we're having some
I
ex.
I see him. I see him as a co-host and then a listener. Jason, can you unmute or can you give us a thumbs up if you can talk? Thumbs down if you still need help. There he's back as co-host.
Jason, how are you doing?
Good. Let me try this. So I
Oh,
was
you're
trying to
good. You're
connect on
good.
my phone because it would normally it's a little bit better responsiveness, but it's not working today. So I'm going to do a PC.
All right. Do you want me to? Are you ready, or do you
Oh
need some
yeah, I'm
time?
good. Uh-huh.
Oh,
Yeah.
excellent. All right. So, everybody, this is Jason Madden. Jason, usually, if you give a quick introduction, and then, for the sake of memory and for people to really connect with our guests, I always like to start off kind of with the background to understand, like, what in at the time of your life when people start to get into focus on what interests them, how that brought you into what you're doing now. So you want to give everybody kind of a quick rundown on who you are at this time?
Sure. Yeah. So I played on my first computer, I think when I was 4 or 5. So like my grandpa had a Commodore 64 and his whole neighborhood group, they had this kind of like there wasn't DRM, right? Because it was old school floppy drives, but they kind of had this network of passing around games. So he just had these boxes and boxes of games. So they lived further away from me, and so every time we visit, I would just be glued to the computer. And I was pretty young, and it was like pre 1990s, so that was when the love kind of started with computers and stuff. But I mean, it was more for entertainment. So later on in like grade school, I inherited my own PC, and that's kind of when I really got into tinkering with software, tinkering with memory manipulation, uh, all those kind of sorts of things. And my first programming experience was a mod for a game called Graal, Graal, and it was a Zelda clone. You can still go look it up because every now and then I'll log in and look at it. But it is a Zelda 2 clone, Zelda A Link to the Past clone, and you could go in and make your own weapons, kind of make customize the world. It was a Java based thing, so I was really dangerous with it, but um, I would say that was a significant part to kind of like that led me to keep on with it. So eventually, I went to college, got into coding. I had already messed around with C++, and in the school I was at, it was not the programming was not a track that you could really get in. It was rural, so I like my interest purely drove my path to sticking in computers. So, um, yeah, so college, uh, got a computer science degree from a engineering school, so it was all very theoretical based. So, uh, I actually in AI was a very strong interest to me, but it wasn't as mainstream it is as it is today. So, at the time, neural networks was kind of starting to come back because um, there's like this dead zone between, I guess, maybe the 60s or 70s and the 90s when neural networks were like not really performing enough because there was such a hardware issue. But um, it was starting to come back. And then also there was a track that was evolutionary algorithms, which we had. There was one professor that was very gung ho on that. So and the concept of that was you model some sort of fitness function and you essentially create genes in your population and you trial and error find the best one. You take the winners, pair them with the losers, kind of like pair the genes up, or mix the best genes with the old genes. It's kind of like a whole experimentation and trial and error thing for that, and you're trying to optimize fitness function. So um, that track really got me interested in AI. So in the back of my mind, it's always been an interest that's there, but um, I didn't get a career track in that. So eventually, I just had to take the first job I could get, and it was in a software company that did electronic health records. It was very big company there. I think at the campus we were at, this was in Kansas City, there was about 12,000 developers. So um, I stayed there for about a year. I didn't really enjoy that field to be in like it. Like personality wise, there's several tracks you can do development. This one was like you would get in rooms and start debating on like variable names and like really min max your performance on certain things. And like I saw the value in it, but I didn't want like to have to sit in a room and debate because I just wanted to pump things out that work. So I didn't stay there for very long. And the jump flip side to that is I went to a very small company. They did government contracts, but the IT team supported more of a like they were a support team for the science. So we built software to help the science people do their thing. And I got a lot more satisfaction out of that. And you get exposed to like cool projects. And it was like you were crossing domains between software and some sort of thing. So this was science. Um, and so I stayed there a while, went to a digital marketing place, but they also did custom software development. So I could kind of fill that void of like liking to jump around different projects and like having to understand the business side. And then you implement software to um, meet the business needs. So like that pattern was something that really stuck with me. So um, I did that for a long time, switched to consulting to where I was more like a developer for hire for a company. And I did that primarily for about 6 years. That was my primary income. And then around COVID time, I switched to about half and half where I have other developers that I work with and we do it in a similar fashion, except I don't get hired on as a team member. It's like we get the project and we implement it and deliver it. So, uh, but along the way, I networked and met with this company that was focusing on digital marketing. They had developers, but they had developed software, and this is Flex Portal, by the way. So, kind of like how this started. And they were not, I guess, from my perspective, they were not as focused on making a solution that would scale well. They were focused on meeting the needs for every customer, and they didn't really land on a specific one that they wanted to do. So they would build a bunch of code and then um, like try and bundle it into the software as something that you could spin off to a different customer, but didn't have that traction that it was like a go-to for this industry or go-to for that. So they just had a bunch of like one-off things. Um, so they decided to wind down development on that, and then they offered the let me offer them something to take it because I really saw or I see purpose with it. I I myself am not the best at marketing. I like to build things, so I'm kind of trying to refine that currently. But I did see the value in the software, and the visionary side of me is very excited about it. But you have to really make it a very clear product definition. So I've kind of, I'll say, limped along with it, but I'm really in the mindset to focus on that side and not so much the agency consulting side. So that's kind of where I'm at. It, and I'll drop it there if there's any questions, because I know I can kind of gloss over stuff. It's not my telling a story is not my strong suit, which is another reason to practice that skill. But yeah, so I'll drop for a second.
Well, I mean, there's a couple things that stand out to me. Number one, I didn't really know the story about Flex Portal, and so for my own personal interest, that's super exciting. And and you mentioned at one point you were working with memory. Now memory is a big issue with AI, of course, we all know that. And Andy and I were on a space earlier with the gentleman Dominique, who had a very interesting take on it in terms of knowledge graphs, which, being an SEO guy and dealing with Google algorithms and their knowledge graph, and I put myself and my father in the knowledge graph back with Freebase. It was open, and you could, add things to it, which was really exciting. And it's to be still in it today is pretty cool. What specifically were you working on with memory? I'm just super curious. And does that have any implications for the memory issue with AI?
Yeah, so right now, Flex Portal, it houses a whole bunch of customer data. So at a base level, it is the CRM, but what we do is we'll take that and then let the company define how they want their operations to run, and then we try to build the software around the operations. So a lot of times we have different silos of where teams are operating, and pass it back and forth. And rather than doing everything through email and chat, which is kind of the small business way of just staying lean, but you get very convoluted with things. Um, so that means you have all this data and it's sitting there not really doing something for you. So right now I'm in investigating the best path to making, like, we'll say Web 2.0 world, so which is just a relational database, but having it live in parallel with vectorized database. So um, right now we're still really researching it, but um, to summarize what the goal is when you submit a prompt, you can submit that prompt string to right now we're doing it with OpenAI, but the other platforms do it, and it generates this vector, which is just an array of numbers that kind of maps the request into something that can just be plugged into the model that it understands, but it looks very not understandable to us. Uh, so when you generate that, a vector database allows you to do, you know, partial searches based on sections of that vector. So uh, you can, when you have a vector database, you can submit that vector in, and it's going to be able to very quickly look up related data so that you can pull it and provide it as your context. Well, relational database is going to be very slow for this, right? So the strategy is you have to have a parallel world for the data so that anytime you have either saved it or updated it, that you also need to update your vector representation for it. So um, now when you get, so you can provide context, right? Because if you're asking questions about a customer, then you can query that customer and provide it. But the other thing is like all the things that you're missing. So what we really want to achieve is when you ask a question, it pulls up all relevant data quickly. So that means we have to do a lot of the pre-processing work, and that's kind of where that parallel world lives. Is like you have to find the vector, and then you map it into your relational database, and you have to pull that stuff together and then provide it to the chat. So to me, that kind of cleans up the issue where right now most of us are living in like chat gpt or an agent sometimes, or gemini, and we're copy and pasting a bunch of stuff, or we have projects that we have some limited capacity to create memories, but it's not, we kind of have to know what we're already looking for. And I think that missing piece is that
So
you're not training the model, but you're able to pull and quickly pull together related pre-map stuff. Yeah.
so Joe Dell the other day was talking about trying to find some kind of, it was on Jason's space, trying to find some kind of way where there's a platform or something for AI agents. So we've talked offline. So current so is just, I think there's business owners here and there's people that are doing all kinds of things um related to AI as well as business. So the Flex portal, is this going to be kind of a custom dashboard for people who have businesses that want to create their AI agents and then use them for specific use cases? And then this vector is a way where they can actually have a ongoing memory of past actions?
Yeah, so that's the long-term picture is that. But to get started, what we are prioritizing is like that memory connection, and then also to right now, I really want to host our own type of agent kind of execution, but right now I'm going to piggyback on Zapier, both because you can link many systems together using it and get pull from multiple data sources. We're wiring ours up to be able to data source for that, and then Zapier also supports the MCP protocol. So that's really gotten popular right now, and that is the ability to represent an agent that like, is abstract of or agnostic of a system, and it makes it very versatile so that you can build the MCP model of your agent, and then we do Zapier first, but then also Microsoft does it. So we host everything on Azure. So I am pigeonholing myself on the Azure ecosystem. But if you need my enterprise data security, all of the AI products for Microsoft Azure supports it. So their agent space is also MCP compliant. So we can manage that through there. So long term vision, yes. Short term, we've got to solve, or we're going to solve the vector uh, data relationship for our relational database, and then also communicate that to Zapier as like a data provider. And it, yeah, so
And with
kind of
that,
like
with
yeah,
Azure, you're able to be HIPAA compliant, And I mean, I know people who've worked with Azure, and it's a huge learning curve. So you're basically creating an interface where you're doing all of that, and a client can come into the CRM and do whatever work that they need to. Is that
Right.
correct?
Yeah. And then so also the thing is, if you host your database on Azure, you don't have to have your web application is the only gateway to it. You can directly connect their other data services. So they have like workflow builders that are point and click. There's Power Automate, but they have also Data Factory that you can do some workflow stuff. So it's you don't always have to rely on coded solutions to implement logic or pull things together. So it's uh, the code's always the best maintainable way, but a lot of times that can take that takes more upfront resources as far as cost goes. So if you're just wanting something quick and dirty, then there's more like no code solutions that you can do things. So, but because you're on their ecosystem, you can connect like uh, they have this thing called Copilot Studio, which is very similar to like custom GPTs, but this is you're creating it behind the enterprise ecosystem, and you can connect that with your database, and it's just you don't have to code as much to connect these things together as if uh, you were just coding it all from scratch. Yeah. So
Andy, do you have some questions? So Jason, what size companies like would be using Flex Portal? Is it just mainly mid-sized companies, small size companies, and currently it is the interface through kind of like a web portal or something like that, or how's the interface work?
yeah. So right now we just have it's a web app. Uh, we focus on the like three employee to 10 is kind of the sweet spot, but most of ours have grown past that to where it's more like the average company size is probably about 25, and then we have one tenant that they're almost we've designed something for them and they resell it. So that user base is more in the hundreds now. So and that's the HIPAA client too. So we have a lot of auditing and uh, like role restrictions, data restrictions, things like that we have to comply with. So, but my sweet spot as far as what makes me excited is that 3 to 10 person space because uh, to me the corporate life is pretty miserable because it's like yes we have freedom of speech, but then you go on social media and then you have to be careful about what you say because you have like Big Brother kind of hovering over you. So I like to me that's very toxic. If I can help people in some way break out of that kind of chain to create their own vision, that's kind of the space I want to be at. So
That's very commendable and super awesome in the sense, and I think that there's going to be a lot of disruption, and so smaller teams are going to have a lot of a lot of headroom in terms of places to go. Now, so you're saying also that this can be white labeled. So in other words, people can take the system, act as though it's their own, and then sell it to other
other
companies.
people, right? Yeah. So it was the original owners of it had first built it for like consultants. So it was they lived in local networking kind of feel. And people that are non-technical generally don't think about technology as being this glob of thing that you can kind of mold into something that's very specific. So they almost need that middleman that understands the small business owner, but also what the capabilities is. So they were building a tool for consultants to build a template out, and then they could then kind of be able to copy and paste that tenant into to their customers, and then on the back end, all the data is isolated. So it will create its own database, and then each tenant just can have their own code executed. It's siloed away. So it was really built with that purpose in mind. But then um, as they worked, they built a whole bunch of features that were across different industries. So it's got a little bit of hodgepodge of stuff into it. And really, my goal is to cut out a lot of that extra bloat and then keep kind of go back to the core of it and add in like the little features as modules, but really uh, the exciting part to me is that you can have this start and then each one can turn it into their own like either data warehouse to start out with, or it can turn into a full-fledged like work management type of solution that for businesses that don't have a mold that they can already buy like a pre-built software for. So it can be pretty unique. And there's two things that uh, we can do. It's like we can add customized code that gets loaded into your environment, or in the back end, there's like a rule manager that we can build workflows uh, either inside or using Data Factory. So we don't have to do code. It's just very expandable. And one of the cons for that, though, right, is we're so normalized that so like uh, you have to be careful about performance. And if there's anything super uh, performant intense, we'll build like something external to it so that we can get the performance benefits, but still have that like generic. So the more generic you get, the less performance you get. There's kind of the trade off. So yeah. So now I went down a rabbit hole, but yeah,
And being that it's built on Azure, does that solve the privacy problem? In other words, does does the Azure provide that there's going to be no security breaches, kind of like SWL, so you don't necessarily have to have sensitive information locally at on a computer, let's say for a dental office or or a law firm, they can feel comfortable having it on Azure and not having their data compromised? Or do you have to massage the data before you can put it on the platform to make sure that there's anything attached to individuals, names, addresses needs to be wiped clean?
so the application is responsible for certain things. So like whenever you save it to the database, we have to do uh, encryption so that that is restricted, or like just to comply with some of the standards. But everything on Azure is secure about as far as you can get. And then uh, as long as you stay within that network, you don't have to worry about it. So even like the open AI services, when you do request to LLMs, you're not training the models. You are, just interfacing with the models that are available, and then it stays behind their wall. So now uh, Microsoft, what they promise and what they are doing behind the scenes, I don't know. But as far as like they all are, like hip as far as you can go, HIPAA compliant, SOC 1, SOC 2, SOC 3. They have all that listed, and you don't even have to enter in with BAA agreement, which that is an agreement that kind of lays out the liability of the parties with HIPAA related data. So it's like if you work with them, you're under the scenes, you're signing an agreement with them. So it's like they're confident in what they offer, so they just offer it right out of the box. So yeah.
So anybody who's here who's looking for a solution where you want a dashboard where you can put yourself or your clients work on it, have access to LLMs, create agents specifically for certain workflows, tasks, repeatables. Uh, Basically, we're talking that Flex Portal is that solution for businesses that are between 5 and 10 employees. Is that the case? And if there's anybody here that has any questions, that has a need for something like that, please grab the mic and ask away. But is that the parameters that we're looking at?
Yeah, and I would say it's good for up to like 100 or 200, but when you start getting to that level, then really it's probably better just to build your own custom thing. You probably have the revenue to do it. So this is really just to help small businesses kind of make that intermediate step between more. I consider more 200 employee like a mid range, but
And,
uh,
and since this company started as a digital marketing company, are you able then to take the data to refine it in terms of marketing to past customers, current customers, create voice bots? Is that part of the benefit of this platform being that kind of started with digital marketing? There's some of that legacy information built into it.
uh, so it has a lot of modules built around the CRM part, like the customer relationship management side, but it's not as like as fully featured as like Salesforce or Zoho. So um, it is a good starter thing, but it is more geared towards managing your operations than managing your sales side. So uh, yeah.
Hey, Jason, can you give us another use case of how a company would want this, use this, make their stuff better, help? Can you give us like a very specific example of how somebody might want to utilize your services?
Yeah, so right now, uh, I'm working with a company that builds newsletters for other people. That's that's what their service is. So um, the I was I took their business plan and looked at how they are currently tracking it, which it's in a spreadsheet, right? So we all start with spreadsheets and shared documents, and that's like step one. So this is that step two where you're trying to make a way to track tasks and track um, specific things about your customer. So in this scenario, we started with the CRM, and then each customer has one or more newsletters that they're building, and each of those newsletters has a series of prompts that go with it. So basically, what we did out of the box, we had the CRM part, and then using the built-in tools, we build out the data model of we have a newsletter. Each newsletter has tasks that they're going to give to a VA or an employee, and each one of those newsletters has its own prompt or series of prompts that they've used to generate the content. So uh, out the door right now, it's just going to be a repository to keep track of specific prompts with your customer. But our long-term vision is that uh, you'll be able to use that to query the AI in the system, and it's going to kind of be an API wrapper, but just mostly it's to try to reduce the number of clicks you have to do to move the prompts to your uh, language model of choice, or maybe, or most of us probably use multiple at the same time. So it just is trying to streamline that, and simplify your tracking of like all the different documents that you need to that goes into it. Um, so that's one thing, and another thing that we do is taking like customer intake forms. There's still people that use PDFs for tracking documents against their customers. So we have a really easy way that it's very similar to Google Forms, but you can take that and we can do a mapping between your customer and that submission, and it gets tracked on uh, more in the CRM than just being a raw upload to your shared drive, Google Drive, or if you use OneDrive, that type of thing. So yeah, intake documents, and then also just kind of like really easy workflow management. So,
Does it also include invoicing and billing?
um, not. It worked at one point. Right now, it probably needs a little tweaking, so I won't promise that. But we do have a customer that we actively connect the invoices to QuickBooks, but it's very specific. So I would need to massage it a little bit to work more for everyone than just their business. But yeah.
And so where do you see it over the next 6 to 12 months in terms of as things are changing? Because I mean I'm hearing more and more people are looking for kind of a solution where they can have something that's consistent, that they can count on, where they can create agents for certain workflows for various clients. Where do you see this going forward? And just like digital marketing didn't exist before the internet, there's going to be so many business uh uh i- i- new industries, new businesses, new types of um, professions as we move along into the space. So, do you have kind of an idea of where this is heading and how you're positioning your Flex Portal towards that?
Yeah, so I don't want to be an AI wrapper. So I think right now we see a whole lot of applications that are just wrappers almost. And even if you look at the Twitter feed of people that have business ideas, they just want to take something with a little bit of agent prompting that they've already pre-populated, and then they submit it to AI and they package that as a just $1 app that sells a million times and then it doesn't have any like shelf life. So I want to like for my side, I want it to be make more use out of your data that just sits there. And I'm just as guilty of it too. I know just from being on the ground with small businesses, networking in person, that their data just sits there and they're not using it to refine their products, to get feedback on it. Uh, they don't hire out people to do data analytics, to really kind of like that, what mature companies would not operate without, small businesses just go on their gut. And I see a big gap in that that ecosystem. And then also we all sign up for 10, 12 different subscriptions to do different parts of the job, and there's nothing there to kind of tie all of that together. So those are the two things I like really want to solve, but it's not easy to solve. So uh, yeah, but I'm working towards it, right? So
S-
and we are bootstrapping, so we do have our consulting side that the platform is serving in that capacity, but making that jump to software as a service that have enough that people are happy with and not overwhelmed with, but then also um, provide a reason to use it, which I think the having the AI and memory together is going to be huge for us. So yeah,
Yeah, I mean, I think that's that the data for a company is going to be where huge values. So in terms of customers contacting, a customer calls an office, if they are able to talk to an AI bot or whatever that has 100% factual information about whatever their queries are, it's going to be a better experience than the current calling who's ever at the desk, because they're not going to know the whole history of their relationship with the business and what they've done in the past and X, Y, and Z. And then the ability to upsell at that moment, if it can analyze, well, they've had this, that, and the other thing. I think it's time for you to have your whatever refrigerator serviced or your air conditioning serviced, or there's this new thing that can come out that can save you 20% on your energy. All these things, if they're available immediately with by looking at a history of a customer, I think that, yeah, for these small businesses, it will really, it can increase, I think, probably the bottom line by 20-30%. And if you get these agents that are able to kind of optimize as time goes on to see where things are working and where things are not, it could be a huge benefit to the majority of businesses in North America. The majority of businesses are small businesses.
Yeah, like one thing that I see people struggle with is when you start hiring VAs, keeping track of what is going on with what they're working on, and that takes a system that you have built, whether and it can be in spreadsheets, but it's if you don't stay on top of it, then things can drift, and you end up just paying people for their time, and you don't really know what they're doing. So um, it it does become like a cost savings and helping you to also like formulate your strategy to get things executed. So uh, all of these things I struggle with too. So I do use the software, as a user too, because I think that part is important. If you don't solve your own problems with it, then why do you build it? So a lot of times my little pet projects I put into it are because it's something that I'm currently having issues with. So the hard part, right, is you build too many features and then don't get it tested. So um, right now we are doing like if you're interested in trying it out, you can try it. I eventually will turn on billing for it, but for right now, I have a runway that if I get more users and get more feedback on it, then I can build to that, and then eventually we'll have to turn on the subscription, right? Because we all need to eat. But for right now the the value back to me is feedback. So yeah,
So if someone's listening like myself and they have a situation where they could maybe try the system out, you're willing to work with a couple people to
yes.
just kind of refine your product?
Yeah, so that's a major goal, right? Because right now we're not even connected to Zapier. We're about 80% there. Well, our plan is here in a couple weeks we'll be able to start our end-to-end testing with it. So we have all the code done and we've tested the individual pieces for it, but it's not all plugged together. So we're kind of at that final, uh, I guess the final 10% of it. So that always takes the longest, though. By the way, so but that will open the doors for a lot of more useful things. So even if you just use it for a data warehouse and you want to upload different spreadsheets and have a centralized database, then that is something that I can either just manually do and help you with it. So right now I can do a lot of hands-on stuff, but as we scale, that's when uh, I'll just like have to be careful, and I'll want the system to be a lot more polished by then too. So
Andy, do you have any I was so specifically, what type of data are we talking about? Scheduling? Are we talking about inventory?
uh so So if you keep it on a Google sheet, we can import it and build a data model around it. That's the idea. Is like we're that next graduated step. So if you have a customer intake form on your website, and then you also have something that's in your newsletter, and you have 2 or 3 different repositories that are all over the place without one being together. Uh, we can help tie that together, right? So you can also manually do it, but it's really hard to build a system around uh, a spreadsheet.
And then could there be actions attached to it? So let's say you
Right.
have,
Yeah. So then we can start building tasks around it, or if you know how you want to represent the project, and let's say your business. I'll use. We have a print servicing company that uses it, so their customers come in and each one has a set of printers that they have, and each printer has a set of serial codes. So that we can all store in a structured way so that it uh, makes sense to be able to drill down from the top level and go into it. And you can start making reminders on, hey, in 6 months I need to follow up and uh, you know check for print cartridges, or um, they had like a 2-year warranty that went out. Call them and make sure that nothing's wrong with it because they're going to fall out. So things like that, you can start making more actionable items that you can see in the system versus just having to track it all. Like remember to go look at it in the spreadsheet, find it, do it. So it's really that more systemized way that we're trying to bridge.
Can you connect it to like send an email to this
Yeah.
customer
So
based on this? And
yeah. So we have in the back end we have timers that we can build. So if you want to do something like once a day, you want to see everything that expired or you're low on inventory, and have a certain threshold, then that can be built in to send you a reminder in your email, just so that it's in your face, but you don't have to go in and look at a dashboard. So, but there is also the concept that you can build a dashboard so that you can see everything that is important to you in a heads up display, and then you can get in and get out and kind of move on. So uh, it's trying to make the most for the owner's time.
does it have to be in the Microsoft 360 ecosystem, or can you somebody's
No,
working
so
with Google? Or?
no, if you so if uh, we'll have a lot more options when we connect to Zapier, but all of our data model right now is really custom built, but it's living in the Azure ecosystem. So we have a lot of flexibility and we can add to it, but all the data is centralized. Yeah.
I really encourage anybody who has any interest in this to please grab the mic, because you could have an opportunity where you could work with Jason and maybe begin to start to solve some problems. Because I think this is the time when people are starting to connect the dots, and they're playing with LLMs. They're maybe creating AI agents, but that connection between the output of an agent and maybe an agentic outcome or a system of workflows hasn't really, in a small business sense, hasn't really, and he maybe even in a larger business sense, Andy can talk to this, it hasn't really manifested yet. Andy, do you know of systems where this is manifesting?
No, most enterprise systems are not here yet. They're still operating in kind of a manual or rote kind of way. You're not going to see the enterprise do that. What you're going to see is you're going to end up seeing small independent companies like Uber do something that then disrupts all of the yellow cabs, or Uber messing with the black cabs of London. That's the kind of thing you're going to see. And then eventually you're going to get like the Waymos and the really, really strange independent kind of onesie twosie people. Those guys are going to create something that will just eliminate basic convention of existing business. And if we could predict, if I could wear my Nostradamus hat and hit the mark 3 out of 10 times, we'd be a billionaire. Literally, I only need to be right 30% of the time in this next space to be a billionaire. But nobody can do that, right? Very few people can do that. And if they are, then they become super famous, like Warren Buffett or Jamie Dimon, or something like that, where they made all their money by this being able to see the next 3 or 4 steps, or having some piece of information that other people don't have. We were talking before with Alexander and some other folks well, what the LLMs can do is correlate the data sets. They can't create them. Humans can create imaginative solutions to problems that have not been solved yet. LLMs can simply tell you the best way somebody has previously solved the problem. And that has massive benefit. But what Jason's talking about is the next step of that. And so at the enterprise, they're always going to be behind. And the way it operates is a small person figures out, a small meaning a 2, 3, 4 person company, or 1 or 2, 3 person company, right? Like Jason was talking about. Those companies will innovate one type of solution in a gap. That will then get a large amount of interest, people buying it. And then a larger company in the same area will either absorb that technology or replicate that technology. But at a certain size, stagnation happens. And so on the private side, small people come up with a solution to a niche gap. The bigger companies either absorb them or replicate them, and to the point where they become at quote unquote at scale. And then the government agencies go, everyone else is doing it, let's adopt that into our agency. And that's pretty true in any software, in any type of functionality, whether it's this type of accounting or this type of procurement or this type of, data structure or this type of security. That's always the case. And so, applause to Jason for helping lead the way in these areas. But it's hard because no matter what we do, you're going to end up with you you have to educate people on the problem they have so that you can help them understand the urgency of solving it. If they have a hair on fire problem, they will just try to solve it. And if you come in with a solution to someone who's got their hair on fire, they'll buy your stuff, right? So marketing is about finding people who want your things. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about innovation. Innovation is solving a problem because you see a gap that other people are going to have, but not right now or shortly. And when they have that problem, you want to be there with the solution. So I applaud Jason for being there first. I think it's got legs. We'll see over time.
Well, he's right place, right time. The wave is cresting. Christelle and/or Russ, either of you have a question for Jason or for the room?
Yeah, Jason, is this Flex Business Portal that you're talking about?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Who is I'm a little late to this conversation. Spaces has been really weird for me lately. I can't even find them anymore. They just don't show up. So I was looking out for this space. I just never saw it. Who is your ICP? I see on the website it's for consultants. Is that right? So
ICP, what's that short for?
Oh, I'm sorry. Intended your customer profile, the people that you're targeting.
Honestly, I struggle with that. So I've always been kind of like shoot for the try and build something for everyone, but I'm narrowing it down. So.
It's I think I can help. It's businesses between 5 to 50 employees that are looking to solve problems with LLMs in one dashboard, that are connected to sheets or what have you, that are looking for actions to take that might become agentic. Is that about it, Jason?
Yeah, and it in my head, it's like the first a graduated step from moving from managing your business in spreadsheets to software system. So a lot of enterprises behind the scenes, they have their own software that helps make sure that things are done, or they implement software around their operations so that it meets a certain standard. And I'm trying to bring that kind of experience that I have into the small business space.
So what is the to AI John's point, or I'm sorry, to Andy's point, what is the hair on fire situation that you're solving for these companies?
So the scenario that your laptop gets stolen and you've lost all your business data. So there are businesses that still operate like that. They don't know about backups. They don't know about like um, uh, using something outside of just email. So that's one. And then the other one is that they're losing their mind trying to manage their other team members, or they can't keep track of their projects, and they're trying to like link specifics about each of their customers in a way that is like top down, and it doesn't require you to do a lot of manual memory or just making really good notes. So it's more of like a structured way versus just a pattern.
Okay.
Is it also a way to optimize your business in a sense by looking at
Right.
the data analytically and using these new tools to kind of give you quick actionable information, and then over
Yeah, like kind of like a health check. So health check, and then also like just at a simple point, you log in, you want to see what you should do for the day, and you can start chipping away at it. So yeah.
And am I correct that this is a sort of custom tailored solution that you build individually for each customer, or is this a
Yeah,
more
each
generic?
one. So it does have like generic modules, but then each one would get uh, probably they would need. Right now, the tooling is a little clunky. We're working on it, so I would just go in and kind of design what the would need using the built-in tools, and then there will be certain points we may need to add custom code for it. But we're trying to do more on the using the tools that are built versus adding more code to it. So, but each one would have very like their own workflow that they need to implement. Yeah, so it would be unique. Each person would have a unique.
Okay. So if I was talking to a small business and they were having, let's say, some coordination problems or maybe some scaling problems, communication with customers or something like that, is that sort of like what your ICP looks like as far as people that would be a fit for your solution?
Yes, and then more on the back end, like what it takes to get from you have this you've sold them on it, and then you're doing the work to get to deliver to them. So we focus more on the delivery part than like managing the sales side. So
And you said that you have a couple customers already, right?
yeah, I've got right now we have about 25 different portals. Some of them are sold. We sell through one that we're cloning. So within that circle, we have about 10. So we use theirs as a template, and then we resell it to other customers, like to their other people. So it's like that's the white label part. But then we have a whole like several one-off things, and it ranges from just very basic. They just wanted a way to do collect insurance forms that are like need to be HIPAA secure, but it was too expensive to do on Panda Docs or something. And then we have some that are like complete, almost like custom solutions. It just kind of used the base CRM and then the framework to get started to solve like 70% of the development, and just implementing that last 30-40% of the business rules into it. So kind of a range.
And why did your existing customers buy from you? Like, what was it that motivated them to work with you on whatever their problem? Is there any kind of commonality there, or are they all kind of across the board?
No, it was just being at the right place at the right time. It wasn't like, and then also like I have more of a consulting history than this, so, like this specific like technology. So being able to deliver this at a little bit cheaper than building everything from scratch was like probably the biggest factor.
And the way that you build this, it's kind of modular, so you can kind of change the it a bit internally, but you have a structure that can be scaled or sold multiple times with just little bits of tweaks. Is that kind of correct?
Yeah, so it's like each tenant gets their own set of functionality, and at the like higher level, we have modules that work across all tenants, and then at a different level, we have a module that we can build just for that specific tenant. So it's uh, that can be a maintenance nightmare, but at the same time, it adds that flexibility too. So
I see Christelle's here. Christelle, how are you?
Hi, I'm great. I'm trying to get a 2-year-old to eat lunch that he doesn't want to eat, but I was really happy to see Jason on stage. Sorry, now he's like keep crying. Can you all hear him? If so, I'll wait till he's done. If my voice isolation's working, then I'll keep going. Let
No,
me
you can
know.
keep.
Okay,
Here.
okay. Yeah, I'm really happy to see Jason up here because we've met a couple of times and we're meeting again on Friday, and he's in the middle of helping me build my CRM. And when I first heard about what he was building, I was really excited because I've tried lots of different CRM tools, but never stuck with any of them because they didn't feel customizable enough. And that's exactly what he's building. So I'm super excited about that and always excited to work with, builders right here on X. And the other thing, I heard you all talking about VAs a little bit, and I know Virtual Synergy is a sponsor of the space. There's so many creators, entrepreneurs, people in general that want to hire VAs. And the more and more I work with people, the more I realize that hiring a VA is a skill set in itself. Not just hiring them, but working with a VA, training a VA. And so, Jason, this is something that I think you could really leverage is working with people who want to work with VAs and want to train and want to have that support and be able to delegate tasks to actually be able to use your tool to manage that because that's how I'm going to be using it as a way to organize the tasks that I want my VAs to work on and then give them all of the resources that they need. So I'm just really looking forward to it. I wanted to come up support the space because I'm able to be in here today and just support Jason and say hi to everyone. Russ and Kevin and John Carlos and Nicholas and everyone else in the space. Andy, I love that every time I come to this space I see a different PFP, but it's all good. We're gonna land on
No, it's different. I my account got back, so I'm rebranding to make sure that nobody understands that that it was the old guy that
got it.
maybe had
Yeah.
lost a little credibility. So
Well,
anyway,
we
I
miss
just
your wife, but we love the face.
So,
she's still here.
No, I know.
She's
I
so
know.
I'm still married to the same one. So hey, I got to run, but yeah, make sure you hit the sponsors. Jason, thank you so much for joining. John, as always, I turn over the hosting duties back to you, and you've always done a fantastic job. Everybody should follow John. Make sure you follow the Startup Circle. Follow all the speakers. Make sure you follow Jason. Reach out to him in DMs if you have questions. Engage him in his services. He was so gracious to come and share all of this with all of us. So thanks again for everybody. Have a fantastic day, and I'll just be lurking in the background while I'm doing some other work. So thanks again, everybody, and talk to you later. Bye-bye.
thank you, Andy. And Christelle, I just have so part of the platform, it makes it so because basically what Jason was saying, the VAs can come to the platform and see what they need to do for the day without you having to engage with them. Is that part of the solution?
Well, that's how I'm planning to use it. That's not how I thought about it at first, but once we met and I actually, saw the software he gave me a tool, that's when I said, "Oh, this is exactly how I can use this." And so that's now how I'm building it out.
I mean, that's huge. If you can have a platform that I don't know how it does it, it's logistically, but tells the person that engages with the platform, these are your tasks to do for the day. This is what we expect to be done. This is new information, what have you, and then track it. and so you can go out and do whatever you need to do, and then you could, instead of having meetings are crazy in terms of efficiency, not, and find ways that things can be done much more efficiently throughout the month, saving a huge amount of time. That's a big deal.
Yeah, I'm noodling on her idea too a little bit, but like the VA or my first hire, I had like a couple hires, very different personalities. One person I could give, a sentence and they could come up with, a month of work, which worked perfectly for me. But then the other person needed every detail spelled out. And if it wasn't provided, they just didn't do anything or would just kind of screw off. So it was uh, part of that exercise of having something that you have to kind of make yourself go in and write down things so that it presents in a certain way is another like management hack for you to make sure you get consistent results. So like that it was a lessons learned too for me. Kind of just side note, but
Well, that sounds like, a very helpful situation. I've worked with VAs with very, not the greatest outcome. I don't think that my skill set was managing them like Christel. Yeah, I think if anything that Christel you can add to Jason's platform for that, I think would be helpful to a lot of people. And Russ, do you have any other questions? And I see that there's Nicholas out here, and we got Go Dig a Lot. I'd love to hear from you. Hoops is here. Zoo, Sannon, Kevin, Hang On. What is that? Hang On to Something. So I really encourage some people to grab the mic and ask questions away while we have Jason here, and take advantage of that opportunity, especially if you think that there's a reason that you'd like to DM Jason to explore a little further about what he's doing, and how you might be able to benefit from helping him out by showing him what your needs are. And so I see Nicholas grab the mic. Are you up here, Nicholas?
Hey, how's it going? Um, Thanks for having me. I had a question for Jason about are there any kind of vertical supported going in? And I'm sorry if I joined late and it was covered already. I think John, you mentioned dental offices. Do you have kind of real prepackaged uh, industries? Let's call it that.
not yes and no. So one like let me reset. I'll say no, but I have a lot of things that I can pull together. So I like part of my reason for starting to promote it now is I need to get feedback from people. So two industries I am currently in that are very so far it's been very successful is like uh early intervention and also laboratory management. So two different completely different industries, but it is something that both of them could be generified, or I don't know what's the right word, kind of abstracted and then turned into something that could be pitched to that industry. But there would be a little bit of a legal agreement that I would have to do there. But uh, what's the early intervention one is the one that we're building around their model and then using that to clone it. And then each of the different tenants, like there are different things that we're tweaking. So like uh, one is specific to the laws for the state or the county. It kind of gets granular at the county level that we have to do different types of reporting when we get there. So uh yeah, so I'm rambling now. So I'll drop, but
So currently you've been providing software for healthcare companies that deal with early intervention, that contract to the county or state throughout the country. Is that correct?
yeah, so yeah, we have most of the companies, they operate in a few counties, but in specific states, and we're in 5 states right now. So we've kind of got that ironed out for those. And those can be like when we're in that state, it can be easily spun up. So it's just like kind of a copy and paste. We do have to do onboarding and training and all of that, but that's a very good model to go after, I guess, from my standpoint, because I'm trying to figure out what the best approach for me is now. And like my heart is in the like I want to be the generic thing for everyone, but it may not work out. So if it doesn't work out, I still have different options.
Yep, got it. Sounds good. I can't necessarily offer you advice. I'm a developer myself. I don't do CRM specifically, but more kind of like WordPress for specific industries, right? Custom content management systems. But there's, even for myself, as far as CRMs go, I started using HubSpot late last year and this summer. How does your tool, if you're familiar with it, how does it relate to or compare to something like a HubSpot?
So it's been a while since I looked at HubSpot, and it's probably worth me doing. But can you do any customizations on it, like more than fields? You can add fields to customers, but can you make completely different like data sets that link to your customer?
Maybe. I think I need to study it a little bit more. You can certainly do automations and things like that. Definitely a lot, like you said, adding specific custom fields for customers gives you a lot of the calendaring, and it'll tie into Outlook, emails, and calendaring to kind of track your progress and who you're reaching out to. But as far as creating custom something like the way you do, I'm not sure it does that. But I definitely love to, offline see a demo of what you've got going, and
Yep.
it sounds very interesting. Awesome.
Yep. Yeah, I'll reach out to you, and then even if you just want to look at it and then give me ideas on what you would find useful. If it's not useful to you, then it just whatever's just huge data points for me mentally, because
Yeah,
I'm more of a
we'd
builder.
be happy to do it.
Yep.
Definitely.
And the early intervention, these are nonprofits or what have you that are contracted to the county or state.
No, so it's a company that just operates in the county. So they're for profit, but they get uh, a lot of it has to do with insurance and the rules, like with the county and how they manage these. Because a lot of times the early intervention are kids that are not developing correctly, and they probably have longer term disabilities. So it's like some of the counties help more than others.
Are there certain? Yeah, I could imagine. I guess there's areas that have that more than others, depending on the density and the population and whatever
Yeah.
environmental things are going on. But yeah, that's important. Well, it, I really appreciate you taking your time today, Jason. I know that it's a little the more you when I first started speaking at spaces, I was extremely um you know it's something I think that now is important that people do in terms of if you have a message or a business or something that you need to convey to the populace. This is kind of like not quite a webinar, but almost a webinar. I think it would be fun to come back and we could do it where where maybe we can show the dashboard or something through live streaming or what have you. I really wish that X would kind of step up. I know that Elon's really busy right now and he's got his hands in a whole bunch of things, but the X space has so much potential in terms of you know b- adding other features such as audio or a video or live streaming but the key component I think that really makes the X spaces so important is the fact that people can come up and speak, and you can have multiple speakers on a subject. And I'm kind of going sideways a little bit, rambling, but I apologize for that. But I think that this is a really great platform for this time that we're moving forward into. And I think it's really important, what we're talking about now today, Jason, is we're kind of starting to connect what everyone's been doing, because we're all involved in the AI space, we're all working with LLMs, we're creating agents, and then what the next logical step is. And it was interesting hearing from Andy that even on the enterprise level, that what you're starting to work on is not really in place yet. I mean, I know that there's Azure and what have you, but from the people I know that have used it, the learning curve on that thing is pretty intense, and not your average employee is going to know how to set that thing up. Correct?
Yeah, it takes a while, and like I've been using it for probably 10 years, so it's been like just learning a little bit at a time when I need it and not being afraid to screw up. And I've had some pretty not luckily nothing really major happened, but I've had some pretty stressful nights sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, but we are going to, or businesses, and the other day actually I had a conversation with Tim on a space yesterday, in terms of the idea of like these new things that are going to come out with LLMs, and when we start to solve some problems such as memory and what have you. But the fact that then you can get like uh, um recursive optimization of various parts of a business, and and taking the data. So like I have a dental client, and there's, at, it would be very interesting to bring that client's information into something that we can start to explore, where things can be optimized, where there can be savings, where there can be new opportunities, new ways of communicating with customers, expanding the customer base, how to reduce the overhead. I mean, I did a bit of research in the law industry, and so the legal industry is the second largest industry in the United States. The first is, they're actually the first is the government, but then you have healthcare, and then you have law. And about 50% of every dollar that comes into a law firm is in fixed cost, overhead, electricity, rent, what have you. But if you were to start to bring in agentic tools for a lot of that, you could totally see the change in the law space, where they really wouldn't need an office except for their high-end customers. A lot of law firms these days, they don't even see their clients, everything's done on the phone. And then instead of having 15 office workers, maybe you'd have one or two or three. And eventually I think things are going to get to that point, but we've got to go through whatever we've got to go through to get there. But I think it's super exciting that we're having this conversation now, and we're seeing the beginnings of that. Do you have any thoughts on that, Jason or Nicholas or Russ or Hoops? I see Hoops, you got the mic.
No, so I think with all the systems that we're building, like I'm very security conscious, and I don't know if it's just because I'm paranoid or if it's because I'm like under the scenes. I just have worked with more APIs, but like when you're one ecosystem, and if you stay within that, you're a lot more secure than when you start sending a request out to other places, when they can start doing whatever they want with the data. And like they can say one thing on paper, but behind the scenes, as long as none of it gets out, or if they have anonymization strategies, it's still kind of going to helping them. So uh and right now in this era, I just am very I'm using AI in a lot of ways that probably I would not have been comfortable with. have to get the help, or just not using it. So I don't know. That was my thought after that.
Do you think, I mean, are you looking eventually to have a local solution for that? Is that the only way to solve the problem? Because one thing I was thinking is like Microsoft, how many businesses in the country have Microsoft 360? I mean, they have access to all of this. You know, they have such an unfair advantage in terms of building solutions for so many companies because they have all that data. Now, I'm sure they're saying, well, it's, you know, we can't access it, but like, I mean, I don't know what they're doing behind the curtains, but doesn't that give them a bit of unfair advantage globally in terms of seeing the, you know, what's going on internally with all these companies?
Probably, yeah. And then, but I'm also like, because I'm hosted on there, then I am. But I guess their language models, they're not using right. They're, to what we know, they're not using anything to train their LLMs. I haven't heard. I don't know that I've heard of Microsoft developing their own version. Like they're paying other companies to do it and then hosting the models inside of their ecosystem. So yeah.
Interesting. Well, somebody else, Hoops, I see that you grabbed the mic. Is there something you'd like to add?
How you doing? I was moving around a lot. When I settle in, I'll comment more. But great to hear everybody's voice here. Once I get settled in, I'll comment a little more. Appreciate you.
Excellent. Well, I'm probably going to if the to close up the space pretty soon. I see there's quite a lot of people here. Is there anything else, Jason, that you would like just to say to everybody here in terms of people reaching out to you to help this, you know, uh to get some more input on what you're building right now, who you would like to hear from, what problems that they have that currently what you're doing would be the right application for?
Yeah, so I think if anyone that would be open to just a conversation, you don't have to feel obligated to use it, but if I can just pick your brain on what you're currently using, any gripes you have about it, and then like if you see some potential for it, but it's not like there yet, any of that feedback is valid because right now it's very hard to go for funding or just find the right market without some validation for what I'm doing. So like any of that is just helpful. So I currently I do have customers, right, but I don't have a model that is really repeatable or scalable. So I'm kind of in that world of I need to practice pitching it and also get feedback from people and what they're using and what works and what doesn't. So yeah, so any input, and I'm pretty open. Just I'm more like to just collaborate than to pitch in the end of the day because I don't know. I just the sales ecosystem is tiring. So yeah.
Understand. Russ, I see that you got your hand up.
Yeah, Jason, I wanted to know who specifically would you really want to hear from? Like, what do they do? What is their life, their position? Is there anything you can speak to about that?
Yeah, if you're like a solopreneur or freelancer and you're starting to grow into an agency, you feel like you do something unique you can't find a solution for. That's kind of my big picture target. So consultants make good ones because they have a lot of tasks they give out and also have like very specific ways they want to manage it. Um, but
And is there a threshold, like people that are generating 100,000 to 5 million a year or something? Like, is there kind of a parameter in terms of where they're generating enough business that putting some money towards this solution is going to really help and move the needle for them, give them some extra time and some extra bandwidth to focus on just growing their business?
Yeah, I feel like it's more on how many people you have helping. So when you start breaking into 2 or 3 people that you need to run your business, and uh, you're overwhelmed with trying to manage things, that I would use as a barometer over income. Because like, let's say you're a hobbyist and you're making like jewelry on the side, but you're trying to have someone work on the social media marketing. You have one person that's doing the crafting part, then you're very busy all the time, but your income may not be the most. So it's like, uh yeah, so I would say if you have more than 2 to 3 people that you need to interact and run your business, that's more of the barometer. So
Excellent. Great. So anybody out there that has 2 or 3 people that they need to manage better, that can kind of streamline the management of their day-to-day duties and give you some more time to focus on increasing your business, generating new business. And I'm sure that working with Christelle is going to help a lot. Christelle seems to really get it when it comes to getting people to the yeah, I wish that I was a better manager of folks. That's not my I can manage people if I don't have to worry about what I say. So that's that. um I'm trying to be a little funny here. So, Jason, thank you so much. I guess that it's getting at 1:30. I've got some things to do today. Uh, uh, I really appreciate everybody showing up to the space. Again, the space is really only as good as the people that show up and ask a lot of questions. I think that this is a very unique time that we're in. It's going to happen once throughout the history of humanity that we're having this adoption of artificial intelligence. We are trying to understand exactly what it is, what it can do, what it can't do. There's a lot of noise in this space, and to get the signal is hard to find. I believe that our space, the AI Biz Hour with Andy and John, provides more signal than noise. And I feel very strongly about that. And I think that it's a full time job trying to find signal. So we're a place that you can come to on a regular basis, kind of learn a little bit more about what's going on, understand what's really happening with people that are really solving problems and not a bunch of fluff. And so thank you everybody for showing up. Thank you, Jason, so much for taking the time out to come here. And it's great to see Ross and Christelle and Tim and Zoo and Kevin, of course, and Alex and so many other people, Sanan, Maga, Becky, I'm sorry, as well as Russ and Dan and Hoops. And I don't know, Hoops, if you've got something that, if you're ready to say something. Otherwise, Jason, if you want to have any last words, or I'll just close up shop. What are you thinking?
just appreciate you guys for letting me jump up here and at least share kind of what I'm working on. And it it helps to have a platform and to kind of like meet everyone that you've been showcasing. So just get a little bit get to know everyone a little bit better and more personal level. So I just appreciate you and Andy for hosting these.
Absolutely. And also, please DM myself or Jason about joining the AI Biz Hour Discord server. Russ, I see you got your hand up.
Yeah, I just wanted to say I hope everybody tunes in tomorrow. I'll be hanging out with John, and we'll be talking about a CRM that I'm building. It's the best CRM for X. So I hope everybody tunes in for that. Just had to plug that, of course.
Absolutely. Yes, it's Foxley CRM. And I've seen the output of it. It's really interesting and super exciting. Maybe we can get some screenshots or some or some other things, because it's really neat, and I really appreciate you, Russ, for bringing that up. And yeah, we also have we've got quite a few guests lined up for the next week and a half, so I'm super excited about that. And thank you so much. I got to go out. I live out here in the desert, and I've been working out in the yard a little bit, and I need to go talk to some cactuses before the winds come and what have you, and blah blah blah. But yes, tomorrow definitely show up for Rush Shares with Foxley CRM, and please DM Jason Madden to find out more about Flex Biz Portal, and see if they might be able to work with him. I'm super excited about learning more about it, and I'm going to talk to Jason offline about what he's doing. So I highly recommend, if you have any questions, reach out to Jason. Come back here tomorrow for Russ. Please go to my account, join the newsletter so you can get the breakdown from our spaces on a regular basis, and follow myself, Jason, Andy, Nicholas, Ross, Hoops, and everybody else who's in the room. Please, this is a networking space. Grab the mic, let people hear your voice, let people know what you're doing. A lot of people here, pretty much everybody who comes here on a regular basis, is working on something that is interesting, that is innovative, that is going to move the needle. And so together we are a community, and we're not just any community. I mean, Andy got kind of sideswiped, and because of the people that we know, that we built relationships with, he was able to get the problem rectified within 24 hours, which is kind of unheard of on a social media platform. So it pays to know who you know, and it pays to show up, and it pays to get people to know you by speaking up, so they can hear your voice, and over time they get to trust you, and all the other wonderful things that comes along with networking. Relationships are the most powerful things on earth, people. That's where that's it, is relationship building. So I highly recommend that you participate in that. And by participating, I mean grab the mic when you get into spaces, get to know people, and try to bring in signal. Do not bring in the noise, because the noise doesn't help. We all want signal and no noise. All righty. So
Hey, John, I just real quick, I just wanted to tease a little bit. Everything you just said was really awesome, and one of the roles of Foxley is to make. Get a phone call. Is to make that really easy and obvious to do, right?
a little more specific about that, Russ.
I'm sorry. Scammers keep calling me. Yeah. So instead of I guess what I'll tease is that through training and gamification, Foxley encourages you to use X in a social relationship building capacity.
So it kind of trains you how to become better networker, understand who is part of your network, and kind of guide you in terms of building those relationships stronger.
Yep, it's about it. Really, the focus is on building strategic relationships. Yeah,
I love that. That's awesome. Excellent. All right. So again, follow Jason, DM him, follow Russ. Be here tomorrow when Russ shares. No pun intended. When Russ shares what he is creating. Follow myself. Follow Andy. Get to know each other. Speak up. Let your personality shine. We're all perfect sacred spirits that are eternal, and we've been here before, and we'll be here again. Hopefully, we'll get to the point where we can decide if we want to be the master of our own creation at some point, and that's kind of an esoteric thing, but whatever. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day, and thank you for showing up. I really, really appreciate it, and we will see you all tomorrow. Okay, bye-bye.